In order to fully appreciate my story, you have to imagine me 35 years younger and a lot thinner. My story begins in the holidays, the Christmas, Thanksgiving era of 1987. We had just finished Thanksgiving dinner and the tryptophan turkey malaise was taking over when my husband said, "I think we should buy cross-country skis for the family for Christmas." I was so tired. If we're going to buy skis, I want downhill. I want gravity to do most of the work. But he was undaunted, and so we bought cross-country skis for the family for Christmas. We brought them home, wrapped them up, hid them away, and then eagerly anticipated Christmas morning. It arrived. The kids came racing down the stairs to the living room, recognized immediately, even though they were wrapped, that they were skis, and seemed really, really excited until they looked out the French doors in the living room and Jonathan said, "But where's the snow?" It had been a very cold winter and we'd had flurries, but nothing had accumulated. And so here we had this wonderful ski package for all of us and we couldn't use them. My husband at the time was in the antiques restoration business, and he had a couple of deliveries to make the next day, and while he was out, he was listening to the radio. And he heard an ad for Bristol Mountain Ski Resort. Now remember, this is 1987. You could have a lesson, rent skis, and a 4-hour pass for $25. He called on the phone and he said, "I'm going skiing, I'll see you when I see you." We were sitting at the supper table when the door burst open. He came in, threw his hat and gloves on the island in the center of the kitchen and said, "It's better than sex." Our 7-year-old went, "Ew, Daddy." Our 14-year-old bowed his head toward his plate and sat there with his nose 4 inches from the potatoes and said nothing for the rest of the night. Doug backtracked and tried to explain what a great time he'd had and finally convinced us, because in the next couple of days we were off to Bristol to take those $25 ski lesson rentals and passes. We took the lesson and it took the kids about 15 seconds to feel comfortable on the hill, and they and Doug disappeared, and I stayed behind on the beginner's hill, wondering what had ever possessed me when I said I wanted downhill skis. I did improve slowly but surely. I took 2 or 3 more lessons. The instructors kept telling me that there were other ways to slow down and turn besides snow plowing. And I said, "Well, figure it out and help me get so that I can do it, because my inner thighs are killing me." I finally decided to go down Infinity, which was a trail with a mild grade and 1 curve. I called it a hairpin. My kids mocked me, but a hairpin is one that turns back on itself, and this one did. I decided I would go down Infinity, not snow plowing once. And I did, all the way around the curve, where I saw about 100 feet ahead of me 14 or 15 little 4- and 5-year-old kids who had stopped to have a chat in the middle of the trail. Now, condense this next process into about a nanosecond. I am the skee ball, I am the bowling ball, they are the pins, and we're going to have a strike any second. I threw myself in the most colossal snowplow that has ever been performed on any ski trail in any place in the world. When I woke up, I heard this little voice say, "Lady, are you dead? Lady!" When I opened my eyes, I scared him so badly he fell on my chest, which compounded the problem that my left ski was vertical and my knee was twisted grotesquely because my binding didn't release. So much for parallel skiing and snowplows and the whole shot, I thought to myself. But the little kid said, "Can we help you? Can we help you?" There wasn't an adult in sight, and so I said with great trepidation, "Can you release my bindings?" It took 3 of them, after many tugs, jerks, and pulls, but finally the binding was released. I assured them I was okay and shooed them down the hill. I gathered my skis, got up on my knees, crawled to the edge of the trail, pulled myself up by the tree branches, ascertained that nothing was broken, and made my way gingerly to the bottom of the hill. I didn't give up. I did go back. I went back for several years. I still liked infinity best, but I got better, and my kids always said to me, "Mom, you're a much better skier than you think you are." And I would listen to that. And then I would get on the lift and go to Comet and North Star and wish I'd never been born. One trail I promised myself I would never attempt was Upper Rocket. When you stood at the ski lodge and looked up to the top of Upper Rocket, you had to stand like this. It was worse at the top. They convinced me to get on the lift. I rode to the top, got off the lift, and looked down and said, "There are only 2 ways to get down this hill. One is to get back on the lift and ride down, which my pride wouldn't let me do, and the other was to ski down." I was scared spitless, and I said spitless. But I began my descent. I found out that there were 3 ways to get down Upper Rocket. The 3rd way was in a basket suspended between 2 members of the ski patrol who were shaking their heads and rolling their eyes and saying, "Can you believe it? I wonder if she'll ever learn." I still didn't give up, but I never did go up Upper Rocket again. We had other skiing excitements, and one of them was taking a bus all the way to Utah to ski while our son was a freshman in college at Brigham Young University. We must have stopped at 11,000 towns between New York and Salt Lake City, and at one of those stops, one of the persons who got on the bus and sat down by my husband was in for a real treat because Doug tried to engage him in conversation, and he said, "Where are you from?" And he said, "I'm on Christmas parole. They let me out and I have to be back in 4 days." That was the end of that conversation. You know, skiing was really good for our family. Our kids who had been at loggerheads could now, one was 7, one was 14, they could now ski together because she was as good as he was. We had a wonderful time together. It was exhilarating, exciting, extraordinary, but I must confess, as spectacular as it was, skiing never was or never will be better than sex.